Hi all, it's Catherine Burgess with Burgess Group Compass. We're talking about last week's Boulder County real estate numbers, nationally what's happening with bidding wars, and how that relates to our local market. So starting with Boulder County, last week we had 115 new listings. And that was more than we had in the last 3 years, as you can see through the chart. And then under contracts were incredibly high last week. We had 129 under contracts, and that compares really favorably with in 2018 we had 89, in 2019 we had 94, and in 2020 we had 99. So 30 more than our previous high in 2020. So that indicates super robust buyer demand, and we'll talk more about that later. So month supply of inventory, again, that correlates with those new listings. And in last week, we had more supply than we had in the previous 3 years. So that's good as well. It's not a lot of supply, but given that extra demand that we're having, our supply is keeping up with it relative to what our historic normals have been. So then our year-to-date under contracts are at 3,442. That is higher than we saw in all 3 previous years. So we're having this continuous interest and supply in our real estate market, and it's just chugging along in a really healthy way. So from a price band perspective, from 2.5 million and above, it's been quiet for about a month. So that is a really great place. Presumably people have been on vacation, and so as they're returning, that will likely pick up again. But right now there should be more inventory than we've seen in much of the year. In contrast, 2 million to 2.5 has been shopped hard, as well as the 0 to 500. So those will feel a little bit skinny right now, and the rest of it is pretty balanced. From a bidding war perspective, on the national side, we saw a peak in April at 74% of our contracts had bidding wars nationally. And in June it went to 67%, in July it went to 60%. So we see this downward trend, which nationally we've been told that there is less supply of buyers and that buyers are less optimistic than they have been before. Here locally, we've seen that diminishment in the amount of bidding wars. However, just in this past week, anecdotally, we've seen a couple different scenarios where there have been 8 offers going through or more. So that is a big change from what we were seeing recently, where it was more usual to have 1 to 3 offers. What our previous numbers that we talked about indicate is that we do have continuing buyer demand. We did see a decrease, but it seems to be coming back a little bit. Typically after Labor Day, we have a burst, and before Labor Day, we also have a little burst. It's usually quiet over Labor Day. So we may see that national migration and the typical seasonal pattern coalesce into just more buyer demand, more similar to what we saw in the spring. So that may continue through September, through October. Last year, we actually saw that incredible demand go all the way to Christmas. And so we could see that again. There was only about a week of quiet time before things took off again in January. So we'll just have to wait and assess as we go, but right now the fall market is looking very robust. So if you have questions about being a buyer or a seller, it's a great time to bring your property to market. Feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to be a resource where we help people be successful with both of these every day. So we'll see you again in 2 weeks, and please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.